Hi guys, sorry it's been a while, but I wanted to give you an update on where we're at with Caitlin and some other things. I am approaching the end somewhat of the myofunctional therapy and just looking to what's next. I have several people lined up who are ready to start the therapy, and so we'll see what happens with that. I'll keep you posted. But one thing I did want to note was in my training, I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past, one of the things I struggled with was swallowing, which I didn't realize it was so much an issue in the past, but the more I thought about it, it's like I did choke a lot when I drink through straws or when I have drinks, things like that, I would choke. And I realized that that actually was a myofunctional issue. And I started to just work on the training and everything. And then one day there was a particular exercise I did it and it just clicked, totally clicked. And so it's kind of cool now when I drink differently and I drink properly, and I can take pills now without any issues. I always struggled with taking pills, and I've like told my kids like, wow, look, I can do this, and showing them like, oh mom, you haven't always done that. It's like, no, and I didn't know that's how it was supposed to be done, but here we are. So far myofunctional therapy has been working for me, and I'm pretty excited about it and what I've learned from it. But I did want to follow up with Caitlin's situation. She currently is at camp working down in mid-Missouri area, and I went down there to work with her. And while we were there, I just thought I would search out other providers just to see, because I've heard several times if you're going to have surgery, a lot of times it is worth getting a second opinion. And I just thought it wouldn't hurt to get a second opinion on another provider who works with the airway and all of this and just see what they had to say. So the doctor that I found specifically deals with TMJ issues. She's also had some training with the Breathe Institute that I had been looking for, and she had another specific training. I just thought she would come at it from a different angle, and I was curious what she had to say. When we saw her, she looked at the airway and everything the other doctor had looked at, and she didn't necessarily, I think she comes from a more conservative approach, and she didn't feel like things were so bad with Caitlin that she needed the MMA surgery. She was coming at it more from a TMJ angle. And I think the reason why is because with Caitlin took several sleep studies, and with all of them, they said she didn't have sleep apnea. And I think with that, then you can work with what you've got because it's not that bad. So what she wanted to do was put her like in a splint that fixed her occlusion, and then to any way to open up her airway if we wanted to, thin down her incisors, and then put braces on that, which would bring her teeth forward, because right now her teeth are, you wouldn't know it looking at her, but looking at her scan, her teeth are more like this, and it would bring her, if she could thin down the incisors and do braces, it'd bring like this, which could then bring her jaw forward to open up that airway that's back here. So I thought, well, maybe that's the way to go. It's kind of a more definite answer instead of having to go around all over the United States kind of for surgery, and then for the braces just to work with the guys specifically that work with the first provider that we saw. I hope this isn't confusing. There's a lot here. But through a matter of circumstances, I received a phone call from a lady who is one of the administrators in the schooling that I'm doing. Sorry, I got my phone stuck on the window. And that lady had called me to follow up with something else, and she's a myofunctional therapist, and she's been a dental hygienist for over 30 years. So she had a lot of ideas and opinions. And sorry, my dog's scratching the carpet so he can lay down, because apparently that's what you do. But anyway, she called, and I was talking to her about some things and what she called me about, and then I explained to her why I was asking and explained Caitlin's situation, and she was absolutely emphasizing that Caitlin needs myofunctional therapy. And that I forgot to say that is what the doctor that we saw who wanted to do the thinning of the incisors, this last person we saw in Springfield, they had said Caitlin needs myofunctional therapy. So the myofunctional therapist that I spoke with on the phone, who has again been a hygienist for over 30 years, she said she believes just doing the myofunctional therapy alone will fix Caitlin's problems. And I was kind of shocked because of all the root, everything. But she said, like, if Caitlin has a tongue tie, then doing myofunctional therapy will reduce the grade by 1 there's 4 stages. 4 is the worst. It will reduce it by 1. Caitlin is a 2 or a 3. So just doing that might reduce her enough that she doesn't have to have a tongue tie release. And if she has upper airway resistance syndrome, which is the step before sleep apnea, then myofunctional therapy can reduce that down. I mean, they recommend that for treatment, it reduces it down. And so that can fix all that. So that was, it just gave me a whole different perspective that with Caitlin specifically, because she isn't hurt, she has symptoms obviously, but because they're not extreme, even though the headaches are extreme, there's just factors there that are affecting that compounding, causing the headaches. Then it may be just doing the myofunctional therapy alone would fix her headaches. And in a sense, that was encouraging because like that's what I'm going to training for. So I asked Caitlin if she felt like she would be open to working with me being her therapist, and she said that was fine. We'll give that a shot. So we're gonna do that. She's working at this camp right now, and as soon as she's done, then we'll start doing the treatments, and I'll definitely keep you posted on that. I did ask her the other day on the phone where she was at as far as a headache level, and she said she was at a 3. So 0 to 10, 10 being the worst, 0 being you don't have any pain. She was at a 3, and she's been functioning quite well there at the camp. She has her days and where it flares up really badly, but she's doing pretty well right now. I did start her on the Replenish straw tip that I tell people is like a treadmill for the tongue. It tones the tongue and it trains it to be up where it's supposed to be. I did start her on that, and I don't know if maybe that helped with some of the symptoms before she went and saw the doctor, but I've been using that as well. Highly recommend those. And I think I've got a link, yeah, on, if you scroll down somewhere in Facebook, there's a link there, you can look it up. But she's going to keep doing that. I will start the myofunctional therapy within maybe 3 to 4 weeks with her and go from there. But I think my take-home point, the main thing I've learned from this, after seeing a couple of providers and then talking to the myofunctional therapist, that no matter, this isn't just for this situation, but you could talk to a different dentist. And I know this because we have 3.5 dentists in our office. One dentist will look at something and say, this is what needs to happen. Another dentist will look at another thing and have a different opinion. And so it's just providers have different angles. That's why you go for second opinion sometimes before surgery. Somebody might have a different idea on something. So on that, if you don't like maybe what the doctor's telling you as far as any of this, you could see another provider. Or if you want to be a little more conservative, which is what this myofunctional therapist that I spoke with Caitlin's case, she said, if you don't want to do the MMA surgery, maybe she needs it. But if you don't want to do it, just tell the provider that you don't want to go that extreme. Let's do something a little more conservative. We know we won't find maybe the same results, but we could get close potentially. And so that is an option for the future. But what I learned was in all of this, as far as the airway, we start with the myofunctional therapy. The myofunctional therapist will start therapy and the treatments, the exercises, and then when you hit a road bump, which could be a tongue tie, it could be an airway issue, it could be, different things that I'll tell you all about or you'll learn about if you do therapy. Once you hit that road bump and you can't get past it with just the myofunctional therapy alone, then you pursue treatment for that. And you start the treatment, you get where you need to go, then you continue on with the myofunctional therapy until we can get you to where we want you. And usually the myofunctional therapist, or they would have providers that they recommend to, and then you could go to that person and get some help to continue on. So it's kind of like, I think of it as like a contractor. If you're going to build a house, you kind of have the contractor, and the contractor has the plan, knows the goal, and that you work out with the customer, and that's what the myofunctional therapist would be working with you as far as what is the goal that we need to get to. And then we start that plan, and then we, not the contractor would hire out, but the myofunctional therapist will refer out, okay, let's go here for this, and we'll go here for this, and so forth, until we get you to the end goal where we need you. So that's what we're going to start with Caitlin. We're going to start with the myofunctional therapist, and right now the plan will be with me, and if we feel like maybe that's not the best or she needs more or whatever for now, then I have somebody in mind for her for next. and then we'll go from there and see how it goes. So again, I'll keep you posted, and we'll go from there. Thanks.